He's the friendly neighborhood superhero, an icon defined by hope, responsibility, and the belief that no one should ever have to die. But sometimes, even Spider-Man's hands are stained with blood. But what happens when Spider-Man is forced to cross the one line he swore never to break? Tonight, we're diving into the most shocking, controversial, and rarely told stories of every time Spider-Man broke his no-kill code. These are the moments that changed him, and the Marvel Universe, forever. In one of the darkest chapters of Spider-Man's history, Peter becomes an unwitting killer. In Spider-Man vs. Wolverine #1, Peter travels to Berlin and finds himself caught in a deadly web of espionage and betrayal. Charlemagne, an old love of Wolverine's, is being hunted by both governments and her own past. Desperate to escape capture and knowing she has no way out, she manipulates Spider-Man into a fight, goading him into a frenzy. In the confusion and panic, Peter lands a punch meant for Wolverine, but it strikes Charlemagne with lethal force, killing her instantly. The moment is shocking and raw, leaving Peter in pure shock. This tragedy leaves a deep psychological scar. For the first time, Peter is forced to confront what it truly means to take a life, even by accident. The guilt is overwhelming, and the memory of that night haunts him long after he returns home. Sometimes, Spider-Man's deadliest battles blur the line between man and monster. In The Amazing Spider-Man #48, Peter faces Shathra, a savage, supernatural creature who hunts him. Unlike most villains, Shathra is driven by primal hunger, seeking to devour Spider-Man. The final confrontation is brutal, animalistic, and desperate. Forced into a corner and fighting for his life, Peter taps into every survival instinct he has. In a flurry of violence and self-defense, he sends her falling down a trap, ending her threat for good. Though Shathra is a monstrous foe, and her death may seem justified, the experience rattles Peter to his core. Killing even a creature as dangerous as Shathra feels wrong. The memory lingers, a chilling reminder that not every victory comes without a cost. Into the tangled saga of Spider-Man's clones, there's one moment where Peter Parker faces the ultimate test of identity and mercy. In Maximum Clonage Omega, Peter is confronted by Jackal and Spider-Cide, a twisted, unstable clone who embodies all of Peter's darkest impulses. When Spider-Cide turns violently against him, the battle escalates to a rooftop showdown. In a desperate act of self-preservation, Peter throws Spider-Cide and Jackal from the rooftop, sending them to their deaths below. But this is no simple victory. Watching someone who shares his face and memories fall to their end shakes Peter to the core. It's a horrifying realization. He's killed a version of himself. Even knowing Jackal and Spider-Cide was a threat to everyone, Peter is left with a lingering sense of guilt and existential dread. Even when facing monsters, Spider-Man never wants to see a life lost, but sometimes the chaos of battle leads to irreversible consequences. In The Amazing Spider-Man #102, Peter Parker's fight with Morbius, the living vampire, pushes both to their limits. Morbius is a tragic figure, a scientist cursed with vampirism, fighting his own hunger as much as his enemies. Their confrontation is fierce, spilling onto the docks as night falls over the city. In the heat of the struggle, Peter knocks Morbius into the sea with a powerful blow, watching as his foe vanishes beneath the waves. It was not Morbin time. For a time, Peter is absolutely convinced that he has killed Morbius. The guilt is instant and crushing. He can barely process what he's done, replaying the moment in his mind and fearing he has crossed a line he can never come back from. Even though Morbius later returns, the memory of that night remains vivid and raw. For Peter, it's a lesson etched in regret. Every so often, Spider-Man is forced into battles that are truly a matter of life and death, not just for himself, but for the entire multiverse. In the epic Spider-Verse event in the Amazing Spider-Man numbers 13 to 14, Peter leads an army of spider heroes against the Inheritors, a family of immortal, vampiric predators who feed on the essence of every spider person across all realities. Forced to the brink, Peter realizes that the only way to stop the Inheritors is to kill them. With his fellow spider heroes, he makes the call and helps deliver the final blow, ending their threat for good. Even with the fate of the multiverse at stake, crossing that line is not something Peter takes lightly. The victory is haunted by the knowledge that killing, even to save countless lives, changes him forever. Sometimes, the face behind the mask is not truly Peter Parker. During the Superior Spider-Man era, Otto Octavius, the villainous Dr. Octopus, takes over Peter's body and life. In Superior Spider-Man number 5, Otto's brand of justice is far harsher than Peter's ever was. When Massacre, a remorseless killer, threatens innocent lives, Otto, acting as Spider-Man, makes a cold decision. He executes Massacre, ending his rampage with a single calculated shot. Though Peter's mind tries to resist, the world sees Spider-Man as a killer. The consequences ripple through Peter's life long after he regains control of his body. His legacy is forever stained by the actions committed in his name, and the memory of that day becomes a painful reminder that the symbol of Spider-Man is only as strong as the soul behind it. In the bleak alternate future of Spider-Man, Reign, Peter Parker is no longer the bright, wisecracking hero of his youth. Old, weary, and haunted by loss, he lives in a dystopian New York ruled by fear and corruption. When the Sinister Six and Venom threaten what's left of the city, Peter is pushed beyond his breaking point. The battles are brutal. There's no holding back, no webs pulled. In a rage-fueled stand for justice and survival, Peter kills several of his most iconic enemies, including former members of the Sinister Six. For Spider-Man, these acts are not moments of triumph, but of deep sorrow. The violence marks him as much as it defeats his foes, and even victory feels like failure. The cost of crossing the line is written across Peter's every word and action. In saving his city, he has lost a part of himself that he can never reclaim. Some foes force Spider-Man to become a hero he barely recognizes. In the universe of the Spectacular Spider-Man number 20, Peter Parker lives as an Avenger. When the villainous Queen, a powerful insectoid foe, threatens the lives of those he loves, Peter faces an impossible choice. The battle is intense and desperate, and this time, Peter's resolve hardens. He kills the Queen to ensure she can never hurt anyone again. The act is swift, but not without cost. The guilt and self-doubt creep in, reminding him that true heroism is more than just fighting evil. It's refusing to let the world turn him into the very thing he fights against. For Spider-Man, killing the Queen is proof that even in victory, crossing the line can leave wounds that never heal. Every superhero faces a foe who pushes them to their absolute limit. And for Spider-Man, that foe is Morlun. In The Other, Evolve or Die, The Amazing Spider-Man numbers 526 through 528, Morlun, a nearly unstoppable vampiric predator, hunts Peter with ruthless precision. The battle is vicious and personal. Morlun mauls Peter, ripping out his eye and leaving him for dead in a hospital bed. But in the final confrontation, something primal awakens inside Spider-Man. Driven by instinct, trauma, and raw survival, Peter transforms into something almost monstrous. He attacks Morlun in a frenzy, biting, clawing, and finally killing his enemy. For Peter, this act is both liberation and damnation. Morlun is gone, but the way it happened, brutal, animalistic, and far beyond his moral code, leaves Spider-Man shaken. The memory is seared into him as a reminder that no matter how good his intentions, anyone, even a hero, can be pushed to a place where they don't recognize themselves. Some enemies leave a stain on the soul that can never be washed away. In the Ultimate Universe, Peter Parker faces Carnage, a monstrous symbiote born from scientific experimentation gone wrong and responsible for multiple deaths, including the most devastating of all. Gwen Stacy. Gwen's death is a wound that never heals for Peter, a constant ache that shapes his every action from that moment on. In Ultimate Spider-Man number 62, the final confrontation is desperate and chaotic, and Peter can still feel the weight of Gwen's absence with every punch. Realizing that the only way to end Carnage's threat is to destroy it completely, Peter makes the decision to kill the symbiote, annihilating Carnage and ending the terror for good. But what makes this moment so haunting isn't just the violence. It's the fact that Peter makes a conscious, deliberate choice to kill. He knows what he's doing, and he knows the cost. He chooses to kill because he sees no other way to end the threat, not because he wants revenge. This makes the moment even more tragic. He is driven by a sense of responsibility and the fear of more loss, not by a desire to get even. In the aftermath, Peter is left numb and shaken, burdened with the knowledge that protecting others sometimes demands an impossible sacrifice. That decision, and the guilt that follows, never truly leaves him. For Peter Parker, every day is a fight to be better than he was the day before. A fight to never let tragedy turn him into the thing he fears most. And maybe that's why, despite everything, Spider-Man remains the hero so many look up to. Not because he's perfect, but because he keeps trying, even when the world feels broken beyond repair. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Spider-Man's darkest acts. If you learned something new, hit like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments. Which of these moments hit you the hardest? Or is there a story that made you feel for Spider-Man in a whole new way? Stay heroic, and remember, sometimes the toughest web to untangle is the one inside ourselves.